to Waiting and Laodicea. Today's episode is about Revelations chapter 13. Or another way of looking at it is this is the intro of the bad guys. Dun, 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 you hear cue Darth Vader theme. Enter the Antichrist. Now, I've already discussed the Antichrist at one time in one of the previous episodes on this channel, but as
Revelation 13 starting in verse 1. Reading from the New King James Version. The beast from the sea. Then I stood on the sand of the sea. And I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity, he who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The beast from the earth. Continuing in verse 11. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, his number is 666.
welcome back. All right. Before I dive into this and start trying to break this down, which I've already done once before, let's take a look at some facts. Number one, humans, we love our villains. Some of our villains are so interesting and so scary that they just captivate our attention. For example, Darth Vader, the bad guy from space. He's got his own theme music and everything else. Very popular villain. The Joker. Probably not someone's the green-headed idiot off of the Suicide Squad, because he's more of just nuts. But Heath Ledger's Joker was phenomenal. We like our villains because some of it is we can see parts of us in those villains. Now, the Bible gives us the ultimate villains. We have Satan, which there is no comparison between Satan and any of our villains. Our villains are second stringers, third stringers, and they're in kindergarten league compared to Satan. Well, Satan has a couple of heavy hitters that he brings out in the end of times. The first of which is the Antichrist. And we're introduced to him in chapter 13. He is the beast that comes up out of the sea, having on his head 7 horns, 7 heads, 10 horns, and on his 10 horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now, the Antichrist is both a singular and a concept. He's a singular entity that reigns in power during the tribulation. He is a concept because there are multiple antichrists throughout history. These are people that are basically going against Christ. Now, my Bible has a very interesting thing in that it breaks down a lot of this at the very bottom of it. In the summary that is listed under here for the Antichrist, it says, I'll go ahead and read for you. Many identify the beast coming up out of the earth as the Antichrist. According to Scripture, many Antichrists, as in 1 John 2:18, and those who have the spirit of the Antichrist, or 1 John 4:3, persuade and prepare for the way for the final Antichrist. The supreme mark of all Antichrists is the denial of the incarnation of the eternal Son of God. This is supported by John 14, Matthew 1:16, and there's a note after Matthew 1:16. If the beast coming out of the earth is the Antichrist, he is the same as the false prophet of 6:13, 19:20, 20:10. Because the word Antichrist is never directly applied to him, some people consider the terms Antichrist defined in a sense as being just simply against Christ. In this case, it's applying to the first beast, which is the political ruler. Now, what this all boils down to is, although there are many spirits of the Antichrist, the beast that comes out of the sea, who rules politically, is the capital A Antichrist. This is Damien of the Omen. This is the big bad guy. Second in power only to Satan. And he rises up out of the sea, and he has with him another beast. And we see the second beast comes out. Let's see. Let's just slow it down. We have a description of this beast, which carries forward. And then you get in verse 4. So they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. Now remember, all of this is designed to give glory and power to Satan, the dragon. And people on the earth worshiped the dragon because he gave power to the beast. And they would say, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And he was given a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and given authority to continue for 42 months. How long is 42 months? 42 months, for those of you that do not remember, 3.5 years. Interesting. Okay. And the key verse here is all is granted unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given to him over every tribe, tongue, and nation, and who dwell on the earth, who will worship him, and whose names have not been written in the book of the life of the Lamb slain from the foundations of the world. So basically, he's going to have the power to really mess things up. He's going to have the power to come after us, and he does so. And anyone whose name is not listed in the book of the Lamb is going to have problems. Now, in verse 11, we see that we get another beast. This beast is the false prophet. The false prophet comes out, he has power given to him by the beast, by the Antichrist, and He causes the earth and those who dwell on it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now remember, the beast, the Antichrist, is going to be pierced with a sword, and he's going to seem like he's dead, and then he's going to come back. And this is going to make, basically, this is a tie to the life of Jesus. The Antichrist is a fake Christ. He's going to come back from the dead, and the whole world is going to bow down and worship him. And I'll be honest, many Christians will be deceived. And the false prophet is going to come down, and he's going to basically say, "See, look at our Lord, look at the Master here. This great, wonderful man that, as he's going to put it, he came back and beat death. He is the Messiah, and people are going to believe it. And he's then going to create false images and idols of the Antichrist, and those idols will actually be able to speak, and they will kill those inside of him, inside of the idols that do not worship the Antichrist." Now, this is also going to give us a section, the very final verse here, which is starting in verse 18. "Here is wisdom. Let him who hath understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Now, this is one of the most famous verses in the Bible. Granted, maybe not in that particular translation. Other translations put it as, let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666. $666. I'll tell you right now, I have no clue what it means. I guess that means that I'm not wisdom. God hasn't chosen to share what that means to me, but I do know that I'm not going to put any mark on my arm, on my hands, on my forehead, and if that is required for me to buy or sell in order to get food, this is the reason why. One of the things I'm telling you all is to prepare for this. Make sure you have food. Make sure you have what you need before this time comes, because to get the mark of the beast is not good. Looks like in a couple episodes later, we'll be discussing where it talks about the doom to the worshippers of the beast and those who get the mark of the beast. Bottom line, you don't get the mark. You have a choice. And because of that choice is coming, you need to either start preparing now or you'll pay later. Once again, reality is going to step into the world. And it's going to be a very cold reality. You either worship Satan or you don't buy and sell. If you don't buy and sell, that means you don't have access to food, water, other necessities, unless you have prepared in advance. The whole purpose of waiting in Laodicea is to help each and every one of you out there prepare for the day when these individuals show up, when the beast shows up and the false prophet, and they begin ruling the earth, and the graven images that come to life, to be prepared for when they come. Not just physically by having food and water and other necessities prepared, but spiritually, so that whenever these things do start speaking, that we can sit there and recognize this is not Christ. Remember, the second coming of Christ is not a stand on earth immediately. He's not going to walk on the planet. He's not going to run for office. He's not going to be hailed as king. He's not going to do any of those things until after the final battle. And if the sequence is wrong, then so is the person claiming to be Christ. If somebody walks around the earth right now and says, I am your Messiah, well, the Bible tells us he's a liar. Our Messiah has certain requirements and certain rules that he's going to come by. And one of those is the second time he shows up is not going to be so mundane. When he shows up at the end, he shows up. And there will be no question. There will be no way you're going to sit back and go, well, maybe he's not. No, you'll realize. The tribulation is a time frame where reality steps in really harsh. And people who do not prepare are going to suffer. Now, some of those that suffer will be Christians, and they will simply die. This is not entirely bad, but not a necessity. You die because you weren't prepared. Just like anything else in life, if you don't prepare correctly, you're going to fail. And dying early in the end of times, in a lot of cases, it's because you didn't prepare. Now, a number of people will be dying in the end of times. As we've covered in some of the other episodes, a third of mankind, a quarter more. That's a lot of people. Those deaths, you can't prepare for that. But preparing for buying and selling, this you can do. The question is, do you have the faith to believe that it's coming? Do you have the faith and the will to take the steps to prepare? Did you take the warning and heed the warning? Now, what warning? Not just what I'm saying, because I'm nobody, but the warning that is in the Bible. There's a reason why certain things are included. God's plan is very clear. He warns everybody. Every time he gets ready to judge, he already has warned numerous times. He included in our Bible and gave the vision of the revelation to John so that we would be prepared. We are to watch and prepare, remember? Watch and be ready. Are you going to be ready? I know it's not easy. I know I'm asking you to spend money, not to support this channel or anything like that, but that you may prepare. Remember, food for a minimum of 7 years is a lot of food. But it can be done. And yes, I have had episodes where I've talked about the different types of foods, and I will continue to have episodes on things that you can start putting up so that you are prepared. Will it be a wonderful diet? No. Will it be a simple diet? Oh, yes. And if you have a simple diet, it may not be exciting, but it'll keep you nourished and keep you healthy. Some of those things that I mentioned on the other episodes, beans, rice. These are items that can store and be stored for a long time. Oatmeal. Yeah, I know, that means no more sugar pops for you or no more frosted flakes, because those, they don't last long. They don't have a long shelf life. But beans and rice, they do. Honey, sugar, flour. All of these things can be kept safe for long periods of time. And you need to look at, call it 7 years minimum. Probably closer to 10, depending on what country you're in. Why 10? Because depending on what country you're in, your country is going to end up having a major downfall coming, because you're not a player in the end of times. I know that's tough on some people's egos, especially in the United States, where we've gotten to this attitude that we are number one, that the world revolves around us. Sadly, in many ways it does. But we're going to get a comeuppance because we're not listed. We become second string, just like everybody else. We either become servants of the Antichrist or we get taken off the world stage entirely. Either way, we need to prepare for that time frame, because it's not going to be a picnic. Now, as you read the book of Revelations and the book of Daniel, you need to be looking at this as to what is going to happen. And it's going to happen soon. So, are you preparing? Are you prepared for when someone claims to be the Messiah? Are you prepared for when someone stands up there and is killed and yet comes back? I mean, it's going to be miraculous. And the Antichrist, the false prophet, he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image of the beast, who was wounded by the sword and lived. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive the mark on the right hand or on their foreheads. When the time comes, are you going to take the mark? Or have you prepared so that you don't have to? Are you spiritually prepared so that you know you can't? Time to prepare. This has been Waiting in Laodicea. I am your host, A.T. Martinez. I hope this episode, which I know is kind of brief, but as we've already covered this, go back and look at that episode where I talked about the Antichrist and go through this verse and these chapters so that you can see what's coming. I hope you each take these things to heart and start preparing. If you've enjoyed today's show, or if you found it informative, or even if you didn't like today's show, please hit the like button. Please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. The more people that subscribe, it is the easiest and most cost-effective way to support this ministry. Everybody that subscribes, you actually help propel this ministry forward. If you wish to particularly and intentionally donate, you can do so through the channel. You can become a patron, or you can go to our website, which is www.waitinginlaodicea.weebly.com.